Commandments with Yul Brenner, Edward G. Robinson, Divine Carlo was in that, Dan Baxter was in that, Edward G. Robinson was in that. You saw that? Remember that? See some Bill. Good. Keep that in your head for a second. If you did not see the Ten Commandments, you should be ashamed. And you know, Rosh Hashanah is a time to sort of reflect on your life. That is a classic movie. You should have seen that. But if you didn't see that, have you been to a Passover Seder? Okay. So if you've been to a Passover Seder, or you've seen the movie The Ten Commandments, you sort of have a sense of where we are in the Torah. We're trying to figure out how that all fit together, right? Okay. We are dealing with the fact that the Jews were slaves in Egypt. Right? It says, Pharaoh arose and knew not Joseph. He enslaved our people, the Jewish people, because he thought we were bad and numerous, and made us work with hardship and hard labor under taskmasters with the whip. Then, a young boy is born, Moses, who at the time was supposed to be killed. Put in a basket, Pharaoh's daughter takes him, he's raised in Pharaoh's court, he strikes down a taskmaster, he leaves, meets God at the burning bush, returns and goes before Pharaoh with his brother Aaron and says, let my people go. Pharaoh's a little wishy-washy 10 plagues later. Short version of the Passover Seder. I knew it was short of that. We leave. Nope, get to the Red Sea. Uh-oh. Sea opens, we walk across. Pharaoh's troops follow. Water closes. They're gone. We keep going. Right? Got it. Got it. Perfect. So now, we walk to Mount Sinai. That's where we are in the Torah. We're at Mount Sinai, and Moses walks up the mountain, right? Climbs up the mountain because he is going to be God face to face. He's going to get the Ten Commandments and really all of Jewish law. And down below are us, the children of Israel, waiting for Moses. Waiting, getting ever more impatient to the point that we say, Aaron, this guy's never coming back. We need a golden calf. That is the story we are reading. Now, most of us have learned the golden calf story. The problem is we learned it through the lenses of the winners of history. Right? So most of us learned Moses, good guy, Aaron, a struggling guy, a weak guy, could have been better. Yahweh, the God on the mountain, good God, the golden calf, just an idol. The pejorative we like to say of anything that's. I need you to drop all that first. I need you to leave all the things that all your religious school teachers and all your rabbis and all your friends and the Ten Commandments that we taught you. I need you to drop that. In order to understand what this Torah portion is really about, you need to leave all that aside. Because we're going to dig down multiple levels right now and understand this Torah portion in a way probably you haven't seen it. Okay. I also now need you to leave Mount Sinai. If the story of Mount Sinai is in fact a historic was true, and this is all legend, right? Legend, myth. Aaron, Moses didn't exist. This is all legendary tale that would be set about 1400 BCE. I need you now to jump up with me 500 years. Can you do that? 500 years, almost twice the time that the United States of America has been a formal nation. 500 years. Because this story really is in part written actually about 600 years later. It's an attack on certain things, and you need to understand what's really going on. Okay. We're now at about 900 BCE. 500 years after Moses would have been dead. That's a really long time. The land of Israel, as we think of it, actually was divided at one point after Solomon into two parts. There was a southern part of Israel called Judah, and the northern part called Israel. And a king, a new king, Jeroboam the first, was establishing his authority. Right? New king needs to establish his authority. Up until this point, the main temple was in the south, in Jerusalem. If you're a new king who wants to assert your authority in the north, what do you need to do? You want to establish a couple sacred spaces, and you want to affirm your religious identity with something different and unique. A golden calf. Actually, two golden calves, because Jeroboam established two high places, one called Bethel and one called Dan. In fact, when I was a rabbinic student at the Hebrew Union College, I dug at that archaeological site. And those of you who went on one of the trips, I can't remember, we went on one of the trips, we went to Tel Dan. And when I was digging there, Dr. Abraham Iran used to say to us, notice early in the morning, if you find the golden calf, I will buy you a bottle of Iraq, which is a kind of Lebanese liquor. So we're all not needless to say that the golden calf was never found in Tel Dan. But this story that we're reading is a conversation with that event that's expected back in history. Is everyone with me? So this story of the golden calf, the golden calf wasn't considered, obviously in the north, as a bad thing. In the north, it was a fine symbol of religion. And Aaron represented something very good, a high priest, who would have been established and doing very good stuff. So we have this interesting conversation taking place, and I'm going to show you how we know this. You're all going, sure, Bob, you just made this all up. No, I didn't. So we're going to read a little bit of the Torah portion. We're going to point out some of the problems, and we're going to begin to see there are actually about 3 or 4 different arguments that are taking place in the golden calf story. And the people, the former slaves, began to take off or gather up their, I'm putting them right here, like gold earrings, asher oznehem, which were in their ears. And they brought them to Aaron. Now, this is one of those little textual problems that always bug me. Where do slaves get old gold earrings? Does that bother any of you? We've been slaves, we slept in dirt, walking through the muck and the mud, and all of a sudden we got gold earrings. And we had all this gold. What were we doing as slaves? True, right? So it says in Exodus 11, I love this is my favorite line. One of my favorite lines about it. And so it says the children were told to borrow from their neighbors gold and silver. Oh, hey, I'm a former slave, you know in your gold and silver, let me take it with me. So in the book of Jubilees, which is a later text from the Pseudepigrapha, which is a collection of books that didn't make it into the Bible, it's much more clear. It says, it reads, Israel plundered the Egyptians to make up for the centuries of slavery. Pretty correct, huh? So this is the beauty of ancient texts. Different writers actually say different things in different places. So we sort of took this stuff. The other thing that's sort of nice in here is the word for, Hebrew has a suffix here, which refers to whose earrings they were. And it suggests that the way the rabbis liked it was only the men that gave their earrings. Women were pockets. It's hard to find where women are given a lot of strokes in the Bible and they're saying they're good, but this is one of the times that it says that women were good. They didn't do anything wrong, the men just did it wrong. Let's keep on going. And Aaron took all this gold from them and he made a mold. And he made a golden calf. This is the verse. So Aaron makes a golden calf. The people then say, in it, I'm going to read you the translation that almost every Bible has. So every Bible's translation says, This is the God, Israel, which brought you out of Egypt. Except in Hebrew it says, these are the gods that brought you out of Egypt. And where do you think that text is found? Who said that? Jeroboam. When he installed the golden calves, he said, these are the gods that brought you out of Egypt. This is a direct quote. This is how we know that this was a conversation between those who came later about this event. So let's talk a little bit about the calf. Because we all learned it's like bad calf. Right? No one has a calf around. Probably in the north with a fertility center. One thing. And two, how many, I haven't like movie references. I'm a big movie guy. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Harrison Ford. Okay. Goes down into the pit. He and his assistant pick up the ark. You remember, it was gold, it was glistening, it was beautiful. And that was a fairly good representation of what people sort of imagined it to be. And on the ark are two beings with a human face and big wings. Remember that? The cherubim. They were cherubim. So wait a second. You're not supposed to make idols. Why were those beings okay? And the golden calf wasn't. Now, some of you say, well, the golden calf was an idol, the cherubims weren't. Neither of them were idols. Both of them probably were footstools for God. That God stood on that place. That is how oftentimes it's the pedestal upon which God stood. And in the south, the cherubim were okay. In the north, calves were okay. But who wrote the story? Northerners or Southerners? Southerners, of course. They didn't like the calf. So they had to knock it. And had to say it was bad. Probably the calves that Jeroboam had were small, hand-sized. The one that we read about here was probably quite sort of large. It was wooden overlaid with gold. Very different way to approach this. Okay, and then it keeps on going. I'm sorry, I lost my placing. And then this pointer rolls a bit. Vayar Acharon, and Aaron saw Vahiva, and he's back at Banav, and he built an altar before it, V'ikra Acharon, Vayomer Hadla Adonai Mahar. And then Aaron says, tomorrow is going to be a festival to God. Tomorrow. Now this tomorrow becomes very important because even though Aaron is sort of a questionable character, they wanted to give him a little bit of goodness. And we'll talk about why in a second. And so the rabbis say, why did he say tomorrow? Well, he said tomorrow because he was stalling. Even though Aaron was doing perhaps the single worst sin that Jews have ever done. In fact, it says in the Talmud, almost everything bad that befalls the Jews is in retribution in part for the golden calf. Aaron, right, he tried to make him not so bad. He was stalling this whole time. Mahar v'yishkimu mimaracharet ve'alu olot v'yigashu shalamim. So in the next morning, we got up early. The Jewish people got up early. They brought offerings before the golden calf, and they brought goodwill offerings. And then we do what we do at every Jewish holiday. So we sat down in the hall to eat. And we drank. You know, it's a Jewish holiday. We're wandering around, we eat, we drink. The Yakumu Lissa happened, then we got up to dance, which is a euphemism for having an orgy. It was a lot more fun. They weren't dancing. It was the kind of dancing you're not supposed to do because it other things. By Bear Adonai al Moshe, and remember Moses was still up in the mountain. So now God says to Moses, "Black bread, go on down. Because your people, that's not no longer God's people, your people are acting basely. Because the people you brought out of Egypt are acting basely, so get down there." That's where we're going to end. Never had a problem reading this next week. Now we got another problem. No. So let me ask you one other problem. Okay. So here's the next very interesting issue of the text. So Aaron does one of the single worst things that anyone ever could do in Judaism. He helped build the golden calf. And yet, after this entire event is over, Aaron and his sons become the high priests, and Moses and his sons are kicked out of the tent of meeting. Think about this. Moses, who only person in Jewish legend to saw God face to face, he's not allowed to go back in to talk to God. But Aaron, who built the golden calf, is. Who wrote this bit of history? The Aaronites. The descendants of Aaron wrote this story. And they empowered the Aaronite priesthood while disempowering the Levitical priesthood of Moses. This text is about 4 different arguments. Who has power? Aaron or Moses? Which traditions they really represent? The golden calf or Yahweh, the north or the south? Which religious practices are acceptable and which are not? And what's interesting, they place all this at a moment of uncertainty. It was a beautifully crafted interjection of thought projected back in time. What our ancestors knew, and many of us actually know as well, and we do this all the time, we argue about the past. Why do we argue about the past? Because we're really arguing about the present and who has control of the future. If I can prove to you that I'm right about what used to happen, then I must be the one who can make the decisions today. That's what our ancestors were doing. This is a multi-layered text trying to figure out which way we're going to go and how we're going to move as a people. It is incredibly similar to what is happening today. People arguing about the past in order to say that they are the most authentic, so they can say what we need today.